if you start now and get like 12 generations of people on it, you too can play Doom on E. coli bacteria.
Yes.
I want you for my bacterial Doom playthrough.
That's what you would have heard last week had we released the episode. Double checking everything went well. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Knights of the D-Pad, the scuffed podcast where everything goes poorly and we post a week late because Aidan's audio drivers or whatever causing issues and making it so only his recording.
It's not that we're posting a week late. We just didn't post last week.
Just missed a week.
We just missed a week. To everyone's chagrin, unfortunately, there was just no episode with no warning because OBS decided to reset its audio settings without telling me. That was a fun thing. So that was why there was no episode last week, because we filmed it and then I realized
all the effort into it,
which is why we didn't just refilm it, because we had already filmed it, and it's really hard to refilm something like this because all of the natural interaction goes away as you try and redo what you had done. So here we are. So technically, officially this is Skyler's second episode, but technically it's his first.
It's his first aired episode.
Yeah. The lost tapes of last week also contain Skyler. So for everyone unaware, Skyler has joined us this semester kind of in the same position that Lillian did last semester, is kind of getting a feel for everyone and for how things go, and then at the end of the semester he'll take the place of most likely Ben or Cort if he gets lost in the jungles of the Dominican Republic.
Which is seeming increasingly likely.
Yeah, that is where Cort is right now. He is busy with the English in Dominican Republic. We'll see how many weeks it takes him to get his schedule kind of solidified to be able to join us. But for as long as it takes him, Skyler will take his place and join us each and every week. So yeah, this is episode 3, even though we filmed an episode 3 last week, and this for us is episode 4. It's episode 3 on the books. So we're not gonna try and be like, actually, and you know, actually. But since we didn't get the episode out last week, we wanted to take a second at the beginning of this episode and kind of recap some of the news that went on last week, because last week had some pretty big stuff that happened, some smaller things that happened. I'd say the first thing that I want to bring up is Overwatch Esports kind of got some announcements out. Obviously, the Overwatch League died in December and November, but then they came out and announced a new Champion Series, the Overwatch Champion Series, that will be starting in March with events at DreamHack Dallas, DreamHack Stockholm. Should be exciting to have things back. There was like no lead up to the announcement. It just kind of like showed up.
So weird that it came out of nowhere.
It did just kind of show up like a Tuesday, one random Tuesday morning last week.
They're just
yeah, they were like, here you go, here's new stuff. So me and my friends have already planned a road trip down to Dallas. We already have our tickets bought. We bought the tickets so early that like the mobile ticketing API system in the DreamHack app isn't even set up yet. That's how early we bought our tickets. So we're good to go on that. We're excited to see what things move forward. But that was the exciting thing for me last week, was the announcement of that. So that was good. I think the biggest news that happened that we talked about, but obviously didn't, at least in terms of gaming specifically, is Palworld, which quickly became the second most played game ever concurrently on Steam. What was it, 8 million concurrent players at one point? Pokemon with guns. Everyone's loving it except for Pokemon fanboys, apparently.
I think it got to a total of like 19 million players or something.
It did have a lot. But then there was controversy with it over whether or not they stole assets from Pokemon. And basically everybody who has a head on their shoulders is saying, no, they didn't, because if they did, Nintendo would have sued them into the dirt ages ago.
Yeah.
And in the week and a half that's happened since then, nothing has occurred. So I don't think we're
aside
gonna have
from
any lawsuits.
Nintendo doxing a couple mods that.
Yeah, but that's understandable. It's
yeah.
you know, that is
So much that flatly
that is
recreated
like
Pokemon.
flat copyright.
that is actual copyright infringement.
But the thing is, though, like, well, I guess people weren't selling the mod, but still,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're not happy about it.
I mean, Nintendo doesn't care about free stuff. Like, look at another Metroid 2 remake a few years ago. That guy put 10 years into a free game, and then Nintendo tried to shut it down.
This is true. Nintendo doesn't care if you're distributing it for free or having people pay for it. They will find you, and they will maybe not kill you, but they'll do as close as
They'll
they can.
take you out.
They will take you out, whatever that means. I don't
You
want
will be found.
You will be found. But Power World, as far as I'm aware, even a week and a half later, still kicking pretty well. I haven't checked what its concurrent
it's
player
very
count has
fun.
been, but
I have played a little bit of it on my husband's laptop, which has like a really bad graphics card, but it's really fun. It only kind of works on his laptop, but
that's what matters.
Yeah.
We go for kind of here.
Yeah.
So that was Power World. Lily, what happened with Apple? Tell us.
Oh yeah, Apple decided to finally allow apps that then have multiple games within the app. So previously Apple would not allow apps to have like multiple games on just like a single app that would allow you to access multiple games. They wanted to have like a separate rating on their app store for every game, and so they would not. That was at least their reasoning for it. But recently they changed that to allow apps that will then let you stream multiple games, which opens up possibilities for like Xbox or Nvidia to make apps that you could then play games off of. They also, and I don't know who brought this up last week, but similar change. They also are. Oh, there was another thing that they changed.
It was the
I can't remember what it was.
Other app stores, third-party app stores.
Yeah, third-party
or at
app
least
stores.
they're being required to via the EU. So Europe coming in clutch once again for everyone who's deranged enough to use an iPhone. You can thank the EU for USB-C ports on those. So
Yeah, I mean, Europe is just, they don't bow down to
no,
Apple the
Europe
way-
Yeah.
will not. Well, yeah, Europe's all like, you're an American company. We don't care what you want. Most people don't
You want-
use Apple in Europe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Apple gets if anything comes of that. But being able to stream games on iPhones and Apple products, especially iPads, I feel will be a good thing moving forward. We also mentioned the Streamer Awards. When are those happening again?
They're happening beginning
Was
of
it the
the
7th?
month.
Was it the 7th
Yeah,
or
that
was it the
sounds
14th?
about right. The 7th sounds. It's the 7th.
Ben's Googling.
It's the
7th.
7th.
So that's
Because the 14th is Valentine's Day and it is not Valentine's Day.
Wednesday. It's happening in 2 days when this episode comes out. So you can
Yep.
watch your favorite streamers lose. Probably.
Yep.
Well,
Most likely.
Most likely lose. I'm ready to watch Super TF lose for a third year in a row. His nomination is just a joke at this point. But Streamer Awards, if you're interested in that and you watch a lot of streamers, tune in on Wednesday. I don't remember where. It's just probably on Twitch.
Yeah.
I know that I'm excited because CDawg VA is hosting. That alone makes it a fun event. Connor always makes a good time. So that's that. And then China's not very happy with Genshin, are they, Skyler?
They're not. In fact, it might even be worse now. I'm not.
It's gotten
sure,
worse?
'cause- okay, so the deal is every year Genshin celebrates the Chinese New Year in an event called Lantern Rite. It hasn't quite started yet, but the patch that it's going to be in just came out last week. So they've like announced everything that's going to happen and announced the rewards and stuff. And initially, when they announced the rewards a couple weeks ago, Chinese fans were super disappointed in how lackluster they were, because like the event is supposed to be like a big deal. It's essentially like Genshin's anniversary, even though they also celebrate their anniversary, but the Lantern Rite's actually a bigger deal. And you know, they said like we're rewarding you for all the time and effort you've put into supporting our game this last year, and they decided to give everybody 3 wishes, which for those who don't know is like essentially spins. Nothing.
It's like 3
because
cents.
to get one 5-star character, you could need is up to as much as 90 wishes, and that only gives you a 50-50 chance of getting the one you want. So you could potentially need like 180 wishes to get a single character that you want. And Genshin gave you 3 to celebrate the Chinese New Year. So Chinese fans threw a fit. They, you know, Genshin lost millions of followers across social media. Fans even started unfollowing like Pizza Hut and KFC who had previously collabed.
Crossovers. I think that's the silliest part of it.
and you know, they did take notice to it. You know, they publicly apologized, or they like sent out a statement apologizing, and they said they're going to try to work on their communication and they're going to reassess rewards. But the funny thing is, like I said, the patch just came out, and as far as I can tell, nothing changed. We're still getting 3 wishes, so we'll see. You know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, funny. China, stick it to the Genshin fans. That's so funny.
I mean, it's just kind of like a mix of all these things with gacha laws, and then coming after like one of their biggest holiday of the year.
Yeah.
What's really funny is that Overwatch just had their Chinese New Year patch drop, and I think they have more content added than Genshin did, and Genshin's made by the company who celebrates the holiday. Overwatch isn't even available in China.
And another thing we mentioned too is that this is just like kind of building up on like a long list of frustrations that like fans of Genshin have, because you know Hoyoverse has other games that are treating their fans way better, like Honkai Star Rail, or even their mobile game Honkai Impact the Third. And you know those games are getting like free 5-star characters and stuff like that, whereas Genshin you get like 3 wishes. So it's just adding to a lot of stuff. But like, one of the things that we mentioned or talked about a lot last week is, you know, just like, does the company actually owe the fans anything, considering the game is technically free, even though people spend absurd amounts of money on it? Like, in my opinion, I don't necessarily think Chinese fans have the right to be that upset over it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll take what I can get for a free game. But, you know, I think it is a good thing for fans to be able to give feedback and for companies to listen to that and make adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, you know, sometimes too far is too far. You guys are unfollowing Pizza Hut.
Yeah,
that's crossing a line.
You.
That I think is crossing a line.
Look, unfollowing Genshin is one thing, but we draw the line at Pizza Hut.
I'm actually surprised. I looked into this recently. Pizza Hut is very big in China.
It is. Even outside the US,
Mm-hmm.
It's big. Like, Pizza Hut is one of the only, like, American food chains that's in Uganda. Like, of all the things, we have they have Pizza Hut and they have KFC. That is it. So, Pizza Hut
Not
is kind
even,
of
like,
a big deal.
McDonald's?
No.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, like McDonald's is huge in the US. It's not that big in other places.
It's not that big foreign, but Pizza
It's
Hut.
like whenever I've traveled, there's always been McDonald's, but I've mostly only traveled in Europe.
Well, when you're in first world countries, McDonald's are typically always there, but when you start getting out of first world countries, you start losing your McDonald's, and then you start realizing, wait, why is there so much Pizza Hut, and what's going on? Wait.
Mm-hmm.
We have to stop Big Pizza.
Big Pizza.
Anyways, and then Skyler, you mentioned CS2 esports. Do you want to recap that now, or do you want to wait until when you are talking about it later as well?
I can just do it now. I wasn't planning on talking about it like super in depth later, but pretty much there's just a big tournament going on right now. IEM Katowice. For those who don't know, it's not technically a major, but it's essentially like the next best thing. It is like one of the most prestigious tournaments of the year. So that's been going on over this last week. I've been staying up super late or waking up super early to try and watch the games, you know, those European times. But just a couple big storylines. Most people probably won't understand, but there's this one team who was like a favorite for a lot of people to potentially contend for the title called Astralis. They have on their roster 4 top 20 players from last year, and they got last place. They lost their first 2 matches, and they didn't even make it through the play-in.
There's just
the
something
funny
about
thing is,
there's something about
go ahead,
super
go ahead.
teams in esports that I don't know why they just do not work.
Dude, even I'm
yeah.
telling you, even in Overwatch, we had a few super teams in North America, and one of them was the first one out of the playoffs.
I wonder if
Yeah,
it's like
and
an issue with like the best players communicating.
That's usually what it is.
Yeah.
It's usually
well,
a
like
personality
to
thing.
to Astralis's credit specifically, I do agree with the super team point. Like usually they never work, but to Astralis's credit, they've only been together for like a short while. Like they just put this team together. It's the start of the season, so they do need time to like get to be able to work together and compete on a high level. But they should get better than last place, especially considering the 2 teams they lost to include a team that they poached 2 of their best players from. Two of the top 20 players on their team they took from one of the teams they lost to. And then the second team they lost to had their former in-game leader that they had kicked. So they just lost to like the 2 teams that they absolutely should not have lost to. So it's actually like a really
2
funny
teams that
story.
they actually cared about beating.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really funny.
So that's just one of the big headlines. You know, Astralis lost. Another big headline is that 9 Polish players qualified to the group stage because Katowice is a Polish city. So
There you
it's
go.
like a big deal for these Polish players. And there's also a couple Polish coaches that made it. So that's really exciting for them because Polish Counter-Strike has been kind of rough the last few years, but it's making a resurgence. So I also served my mission in Poland, so I'm happy to see that. I served in Katowice, so I know it's a big deal for those guys over there. And then just to recap, there's actually some matches being played right now as we're recording for the group stage. And another super team that got put together just got 2-0'd by a Turkish team.
Dude,
That would be the Falcons, for anyone who know. They pretty much just spent a boatload of money taking all the best players from a bunch of other teams, and they just lost 2-0. So I'm kind of happy about that, honestly. And then G2, another potential tournament favorite, just beat Heroic in a 2-1 series. And then there's some other matches still ongoing. But Katowice is a great event. I encourage anyone to watch it. It should still be going on by the time this podcast goes out.
yeah, I think it goes to the
This
11th.
playoff should be really exciting. So
That's so funny.
Nice.
Not the super teams.
the super teams, man.
And then the final thing we mentioned last week, and we'll be mentioning even further later today, is all the layoffs that took place over the course of last week and even the weeks leading up to it.
It's like just a whole slew of things. I've been looking into it. It's like it's not even just gaming in general. It's just all industries are having huge layoffs right now.
Wow.
But you've got stuff like Microsoft after the recent acquisition of Activision and Blizzard, and they have laid off about, like, was it 19,000 employees?
I think it was
1900.
some 1900. It was like
No, a bit
it
much.
was not 19,000. That's like half
That's
the
an
company.
army. 1,900 employees. They said they claim for redundancy reasons, and I guess it's kind of to be expected with buying a whole other company. You're going to have people working the same jobs that don't need to, but
Yeah.
still, you've got stuff like Unity.
Riot.
Unity laying off, what was it, 20%? Twitch laying off 35%. Riot laying off like 500 employees. And so there's just huge waves of layoff going out. It's hitting all industries, and gaming is also getting hit as well. And so we talked about that a little bit, like the LEC lost
They had
basically
no
their entire
broadcast.
production staff. And so it's interesting to see how things are changing and how like industries are going to have to shift and shape around these fluctuating markets. But
it was. I mean, that was what all my Twitter timeline was basically all that for like the back half of last week was just all of the Blizzard employees getting fired and which teams it was, and it was not ideal. Like, you kind of feel for the devs. However, I will say the tweets that I also saw alongside that directed at the player base is like all of these employees got laid off, so like these dev teams, and this was specifically obviously the Overwatch community because that's the community I follow the most. It's like everyone being like, if the next patch or whatever is like, things are wrong with it, don't go after the devs, because you realize that they just lost like a large chunk of their team. Like Aaron Keller, Overwatch's director, like had to tweet out, and he's like, there's not going to be a director's blog this week because we're all still kind of recovering from what just happened. And you go to the comments of that tweet, and there are still people complaining about the game. Have some tact, people. Come on.
Yeah.
Don't go after the devs right now. It's not they're doing the best they can.
It also shows that the devs clearly had like no control of who it was all from the top.
All the top.
Yeah.
So those were kind of the things that we talked about last week. So something to start with is from this week is continuing with the layoffs that I wanted to mention on the Blizzard side of things. Blizzard Activision had, they fired a ton of people, and then we're like, okay, has it passed? No. They went and proceeded to fire all but 12 members of their esports division, including like the entire observing team for Overwatch and Call of Duty, like all of the broadcast talent. Like Zoe is like the face of Blizzard esports. Like she hosted like the esports awards. She was a part of the announcement video for the Overwatch Champion Series, and they laid her off.
What?
Like, what are you doing? I think like everyone was upset about that, and the most egregious of these layoffs is Call of Duty. The Call of Duty League had, I think, either their first major or like a major event last weekend, and the entire like production crew worked it, and then as soon as the event was over, they were all like fired.
Wow.
So they basically they went in to work the event thinking that they had like survived the layoffs just to get laid off after the event.
Huh. That just like, it makes you wonder if there's something else going on. Like
I don't know. All me and my buddies have assumed is that we are just watching the esports bubble pop before our very eyes, and that's probably really all there is to it. Is esports is kind of coming back down to earth a bit after the last couple years of relative success. I mean, we've seen it coming a little bit as viewership has dropped, even in like things like League of Legends, which has historically always had the highest, dropping down into like the 5-digit range as opposed to 6-digit range for viewers. So we've been seeing it coming, but like Blizzard especially has been the like kind of like when esports goes wrong, you see Blizzard mess up first because of how much they put into it. But now we're seeing in the whole industry kind of just feel it, as we saw the LEC production crew get laid off, and we're seeing I think this first Valorant VCT, like, it's not going to be at a big venue. It's just going to be held in like the VCT studio with like only the finals are open to the public, and Riot's all like, oh, but to make up, we're gonna add other stuff to the fan experience to make it better for people to come. And you're just like, wait a minute, why are you doing this? So like just across the esports industry, things are being downsized, like to no, it knows no end right now. So
I mean, what I'm seeing supposedly, like this is just rumor, but like there's supposedly only 12 employees left.
Yes, they
in
have
the esports
12
division at Activision,
and all of them are basically the higher ups for the most part. Like anyone that would be under like an executive director position is not with Blizzard anymore. And like, granted, a lot of these people could get picked up as contractors for like Faceit and stuff when they run the Overwatch thing, but they will be paid less than they were paid at Blizzard, and they will be under contract of Faceit and not Blizzard, which in and of itself is just not as it's a scummy practice of letting them go and be like, oh, we need people, oh, we'll just sign the same people but for a lower price because they can't say no, otherwise they don't have a job. It's not esports is not looking good across the board right now. It's not dead, it's just not as successful as it once was. But it's not all doom and gloom, because TSM actually after it looked like TSM was kind of dead in the water, is kind of coming back. Skyler?
Well, the thing is that it's kind of a weird situation right now. So yes, they did commit to esports, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. But just to recap for anybody unfamiliar with the TSM situation, TSM is obviously a huge esports brand in North America specifically. For a long time, I'd say they were even like the gold standard. Like they're really one of the top dogs when esports was just like first getting started. Especially in the LCS, they were super dominant early on. I think they're still tied for the most championships in LCS with 6. Even though only one of those has come recently. Even despite their struggles recently, they won the 6 Invitational in Rainbow Six in 2022, and I don't know much about Apex Legends, but I saw that they won something called the Apex Legends Global Series in 2023. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but they won it. But there's been a lot of stuff to kind of like ruin TSM recently. Firstly, their CEO Reginald has been going through a lot of drama. He was accused a couple years ago of workplace harassment.
Oh, the Reginald drama is crazy.
Yeah, Reginald is from the sound of it, Reginald's kind of a scumbag, which kind of sucks. So he was accused of workplace harassment. Former TSM pro players like Dyrus and Doublelift kind of came out and talked about it. There was this specifically, I remember seeing this one video of Dyrus from a few years ago when he was on TSM trying to like practice in solo queue with Reginald in the background harassing him, and he literally had like a breakdown right there. He's just like, I'm asking you nicely, like just shut up and let me practice, and Reginald's like harassing him, telling him to like, I don't even remember, but it really made Reginald look bad. So that was going on, and I think that really helped hurt TSM's image. And then on top of that, a couple years ago, TSM signed a huge deal with FTX, which is worth $210 million, and it was supposed to last for 10 years, so like $21 million a year. And it lasted 1 year, and then FTX went bankrupt.
I don't know if any of y'all know too much about the whole FTX drama that happened. It was an absolute mess, with a whole lot of weird things going on with like money, like supposed money laundering, like just Ponzi schemes, all that kind of stuff. And so FTX just went
crypto moment.
Yeah, you had like
don't trust that crypto.
FTX was also a huge supporter of LCS too, and so LCS took a big hit. They had this whole the FTX gold difference or whatever, and so it was a big hit when FTX went belly up.
And I think that was the biggest thing that's kind of screwed TSM, especially financially. They were expecting all that money, and then they just lost it. From what I couldn't find an exact number, but I don't think they saw like any of that money. Essentially, I don't know how much they got, if any, but it really hurt them. And as a result, TSM last year kind of had to take a step back from esports. They left Dota 2. They sold their LCS spot. They did come back to Counter-Strike, which was a little bit weird, because if they're trying to do it for the money, the way to make money in Counter-Strike esports is to qualify for the major and get stickers. But TSM, a North American organization, decided to make a European roster, which is way harder to make it to the major in, because EU talent is way more competitive than in NA. So that's kind of confusing. And even if they wanted to qualify in Europe, they just lost their 3 best players, like just in the last few weeks. So that's a bit weird.
To be fair, though, from what we've seen, talent doesn't seem to be too much of an issue when it comes to getting through to the playoffs or whatever.
I guess so, with those super teams. Yeah. But yeah, so despite all that stuff, and just also mention, you guys thought 12 employees at Activision was bad. It was just put out that TSM supposedly only has 9 employees left, including Reginald. That was mentioned by TSM's former social media manager, who they just laid off, and he said there's only 9 people left. But all that aside, TSM put on Reddit 3 days ago that they are recommitting to esports and they want to stay involved in the esports scene. So I just have a small quote from that post here. They said, "We want to reaffirm that TSM is still fully committed to esports. Although we could not share many of the finer details of our plans for the future, we can confirm that we are actively looking to participate in multiple Tier 1 esports, including League of Legends, Valorant, and Call of Duty."
I think the Call of
Which is
Duty one
questionable.
is the weirdest one because Blizzard and their
Because, like
esports
you just
is
said.
not in a good spot.
Yeah.
So hearing TSM be like, yeah, we're planning to return to Call of Duty. You're like, you're planning to do what now? You're crazy.
Yeah.
All the ones we get back to, it's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's Call of Duty esports have always been in a weird place, but so I don't know how that's going to turn out for them with returning to esports. Their big return being to Call of Duty. But
Like League and Valorant makes
Yeah.
sense. Like that's where the money's at with esports right
Yeah.
now. But Call of Duty is not where the money's at.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's confusing me is like they're recommitting, but the way that they're doing it is questionable. You know, like the way that they went about their Counter-Strike team, the way that they're doing the Call of Duty thing, it just seems a bit weird. But I do think overall, it is, regardless of how they're going to do it, I think it is good that TSM is trying to stay. You know, it's good for NA, it's good for the fans, because even though like the value of the brand has dropped, like it is still like culturally in esports a very big organization. And obviously we want to see as many people stay involved, specifically in North America, where, you know, especially in like League of Legends and other esports like that, you know, NA is kind of memed on. But yeah.
He's a bit confused, but he's got the right spirit. That's what TSM's going through right now.
And it's supposedly they should return to League esports sometime soon.
Hopefully.
But that's depending if they can get a spot, because LCS is only 8 spots now. So
yeah,
they said they wanted to try and do it by 2024, I think, in the Reddit post. If you want to know more, just check out
2024. So somebody let TSM know.
I guess that's
already
true.
Someone let them know it's already that year.
Someone let them know it's too late.
Do they know? I don't know. Does he know?
Yeah, it's weird that they want to like come back so soon after they just sold their spot. Like I'm sure they had to do it for the money because they're like probably, you know.
But they got all the money from laying people off. So smart.
They were like, all the other big companies are doing it.
Gosh.
Everybody else is doing it. I want to turn.
I want to turn. I want to make more money by laying off my employees.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's enough about TSM. Let's go now to Suicide Squad. Cort's probably just rolled around feeling like he just got talked about because we get to talk about Suicide Squad without him because his Suicide Squad segment didn't make it in the first episode. But that's not important.
So there is a new game out, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and as kind of was expected, it didn't go so well in reception because they decided to make it like a server-based game. It seems like a lot of people feel like the story was well done, but the gameplay is just very repetitive. So yeah, they're upset because it was supposed to be a good game and then there was bad decisions made.
It's not what you expect from Rocksteady.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's not.
But I mean, I'm just looking at like gameplay.
Yeah.
It's so just loud. That's the only way to describe it. Like the visuals are way too loud.
Yeah. And a lot of people say the missions are incredibly repetitive, so it just kind of feels like the same thing over and over again, even though there is some story that's pretty good, supposedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah. I wouldn't know. I haven't played it.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. Cort maybe knows, but he's not here. So
yeah.
Quick, someone send a carrier pigeon to the forest of the DR. We'll hear back from him in a couple weeks.
Another thing about, you know, Suicide Squad that I've been seeing is that people are really upset with what they did with Batman. Because if people don't know, rest in peace. That was Kevin Conroy's last performance as Batman in Suicide Squad. And spoiler alert, in case you couldn't tell by the title of the game, Batman dies.
Die.
Yeah.
And fans are pretty upset about how that went down. Just I think specifically because of Kevin Conroy, that being his last performance.
Mhm.
People kind of hoped for something a bit more to do him justice for all his great years.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know a ton about the game, but it seems like this game has, as soon as it was said that the game shifted from what people thought originally was going to be, it wasn't going to be good. I mean, like, not all the reviews are bad. I've seen some good reviews about it, and that it is still like a thing. Even though things are repetitive, it's still a polished game, like mechanics wise. Like, things run smoothly. It just gets repetitive in the story aspects of it in some instances. So love it or hate it.
Like, the top comment, I mean, the top review I'm seeing is not even 4 powerful villains can defeat the demands of capitalism. So I feel like that kind of sums up how much love and care went in from the upper brass at
how much love and care was put in by the corporate execs. See, that's what everyone's misunderstanding. The devs don't put in the love and care. It's all the corporate execs that put the love and care in for them. And by them, I mean forcefully. But back to a game that was good. Power World obviously has been popping off.
Yep.
But be careful, everybody.
all good things have
all
a
good
cheap
things
copy.
could have a cheap copy. It's called Pokemon. I mean,
yeah. So Pal World, a lot of companies are riding on the wave of Pal World success and making fake mobile versions. So Pal World is only currently on available on Xbox and PC. So only a small percentage of people have access to it. Like, not everybody has an Xbox or a gaming PC, so a lot of companies are making fake Pal World mobile games, and they are using them to steal people's information and doing not good things. So be wary of those fake mobile games. They're not actually from Pal World. Pal World does not have a mobile version. Yeah. But a lot of people are falling for it because they want to play this amazing game, and they go, "Oh, they made a mobile version." They did not.
Yeah, it's Pal World not Pal World, was Pocket Pair has had to release a statement saying, "We have not released a mobile version yet. Do not trust any mobile."
Do not
Pal
trust
World
the
you
mobile ones. They are not real.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. It's like, we've made a game. Also, I realized my camera on the recording I'm just a disembodied voice at the moment. Don't worry about it, guys. But yeah, it was like, you see this on like every time, because like when Among Us was big, you saw a bunch of like Among Us ripoffs. That was pretty funny. And then you see it a lot.
Fortnite.
Yeah, you see it with Fortnite as well. Like, you see a lot of other companies try and there we go, I'm back. Just ride the wave, but they do it even without making a ripoff of the game. They're just like, oh, it's Power World, but instead of Power World, you can color. It's a coloring book, or it's a companion guide.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even the game. They're just like, what if we took a Wikipedia and made it an app?
Yeah.
So it's be careful. If you want to play Power World, just play Power World.
Yep. Even if you have a crappy PC, you can still kind of sort of play it.
Yeah, take it from Lillian, who's been doing that exact thing.
It doesn't work great. You really can't catch pals because the frame rate is too low. But it's still enjoyable. You can still do like most of the game. You can catch the low level pals, kind of.
You can still enslave them, probably.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in a PowerPoint template, Power World on the low end PC, I've heard it's pretty good for Microsoft PowerPoint.
Oh, it's great.
So just be careful of the mobile ripoffs. I'd say the biggest piece of news that happened this past week, though, is Sony had their State of Play. A variety of things announced. I think the biggest thing that was mentioned, though, is Hideo Kojima's new game. Because anything that man touches is just gold.
Well, you've got a lot of new things dropped, like
a ton.
Apparently, there's a Silent Hill that will just no stories, no news about it. All of a sudden, it's just like, oh, hey, by the way, we're making a new Silent Hill game.
Also, a new Sonic game with Shadow in it. I mean, it's just a I mean, it's just an enhanced remaster of Sonic Generations, but this time Shadow is in it, which is exciting. Everyone,
That's nice.
Which makes it edgier and cooler.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Shadow's
Sonic
inclusion immediately means it's gonna be edgy.
and cool. Yes.
I mean, there were tons of other games. Like I am not super familiar with the Sony side of things because I've never had a PlayStation. But the thing that I've seen the most about is Hideo Kojima's new game, called, what is it, Physint?
Physint, yeah.
Physint?
Like Physint. So it's like you're trying to say psychic, but also psychic isn't.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's like it's like an action espionage game, and like their hope for it is to like what they said is to blur the line between like a video game and a movie. So I don't know if that means that it's gonna be like tons of cutscenes, or if
this is the one that they're working with Peele. Jordan
yeah,
Peele.
I think so. So we don't know.
I mean,
all the footage that we've seen from it has looked crazy good with like really like we're talking like wild weapons kind of. It's been, I mean, Kojima's, it is impossible for Kojima to make a bad game. I don't think that's really possible. This man is a legend for a reason. So like I'm not worried about the game being good or bad, but it's like a really like bold like approach to be like, okay, like, people enjoy sitting and watching movies, but they enjoy playing video games. So I think it's the kind of like what does that mean? Blur the line in terms of how it feels to play the game. Because I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but when I boot up a video game, I want to play a game. I didn't buy a game and boot it up to watch a movie. So
the closest you want to get with that is like something like Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, like
there's definitely games that are more story based, and that's enjoyable. But how much will this feel more like you're not actually getting any gameplay? Like that, I think, is the biggest concern that people have.
I don't want it to just be, would you like some game with your cutscenes? With like time events, and it's like I'm controlling the cutscene. Ooh. Like that is my concern with like a statement like that of like we're gonna blur that line. It's like, okay, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by we're gonna blur the line? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, could it just be amazingly good graphics so that it has almost the feel of watching a movie?
Yeah, but I feel like at that point that'd be more the blurring the line between video game and reality. Like, like if their draw was really high graphics, then it would be that line that you're blurring. Because it's like if you say you're blurring the line with film, then the idea is that it's like really high storytelling and cinematics.
Yeah.
Because that's what you watch a movie for. You watch a movie for a story and for a narrative that you just kind of like get to sit and enjoy. But that's like the opposite of what a game is, because a game is interactive, an interactive story, and movies are not interactive. So I like.
How are they going to blur that line?
I don't.
Valid.
What does it mean? What does it mean? What do they mean? What does it mean?
What does it mean?
What do the numbers mean?
What do the numbers mean?
Like Kojima has been very busy looking at that, and also Death Stranding 2 was announced. And so we're gonna have what's the actor's name?
I couldn't tell you.
I gotta.
More Dragon's Dogma. There's a ton of things. So I mean, Sony enjoyers.
Norman Reedus. Oh my goodness.
Eating good if you're a
They're eating good.
They're eating good if you're a PlayStation enjoyer.
Something what I'm particularly excited for is yeah, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Helldivers, but Helldivers was this really fun kind of like semi-tactical, just shoot 'em up game where you would come on into these planets. You have to get these objectives and do things, but you're being constantly attacked by the residents of the planet. So you've got like monsters, you've got like robots and all that kind of stuff. And it was a top-down kind of game. And so it was the one where you walk around
That's
and then,
wild.
like as you turn, you just kind of turn your gun and you're just spinning around in circles. The Helldivers 2 is Helldivers 1 was not the most graphics intensive game.
Mm-hmm.
But with Helldivers 2, they've like completely revamped everything.
Yeah, it is
and
not
now it's
top
a
down
third
anymore.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a third person. I think it's Unreal Engine or something.
probably.
Just absolute experience. And I'm really excited for it because like,
Absolute experience.
Absolute experience.
I played this game a lot with my
Mhm.
friends back when I like first started college.
Mhm.
And so to see like kind of this level being put into like the same formula just on a different scale.
Mhm.
And did the first one have a the first one had a multiplayer.
It was
feature.
multiplayer. It's mostly like you mostly played it multiplayer.
Mostly played it. Okay.
You could play single player, but it's like trying to play. I don't know. It's like trying to play Fortnite single player by yourself. It's not that fun.
A one-person battle royale. You load in and immediately get the victory royale.
I mean, it's honestly not that much difference. You load in, you play against a bunch of bots. So
Oh, I guess it depends on who you are and what constitutes as a bot. So yeah, that was the biggest piece of news was the Sony State of Play, because Microsoft and Nintendo haven't had theirs yet. Those will be coming up, I believe, later on. So we will see what those companies have to offer whenever their stuff happens. When we get the Switch 2.
Oh,
or
yeah.
something. I don't know. The rumor mill is loving
the
that one.
rumor's been going for
Switch
rumor-
to
a long time.
watch.
Switch 2 Electric Boogaloo. Do it, Nintendo. Name your next console that. I
That
dare
would be
you.
great.
I
That would be
dare you.
wonderful.
For a fun piece of news that I saw this week. So the age old meme in gaming, whenever pieces of hardware come out, is the question of, can it play Doom? Everything
Yes.
from MS Paint to Notepad to pregnancy tests to everything. Everything can play Doom. Well, bacteria can play Doom, ladies and gentlemen. We can play Doom on E. coli bacteria.
That's great.
But granted, the word play is used very, very loosely here. So a student at MIT's biotech lab named Lauren Ramlin released a paper documenting how she programmed E. coli cells to play Doom by using kind of like I don't remember if it was a protein or whatnot to like basically turn the E. coli cells on or off to certain states, like whether
That would make
showing a certain state of on or off. And so she was able to basically make it like lay them out on a grid, like a 32 by 48 plate grid that could act as a pseudo like television screen with each E. coli cell being a pixel. And so she set it and lit it to be the Doom menu screen, using these like little diodes of light coming from the bacteria cells, using these
That's
proteins.
great.
And so she made Doom come up. Now it's like super rudimentary. Like we're talking like, whoa,
Yeah.
it's barely Doom. But because you can do that, I mean, that means you can technically replicate every frame and play Doom.
Just one by
However, the problem is it takes roughly 70 minutes to fully illuminate the cells from their neutral state, and then to reset them back to their state, it takes almost 8.5 hours.
Yep, that sounds about
So we're
right.
talking like 9.5, 10 hours to like basically set a frame and have it go back to default. So
Your average iPhone gaming
I
experience.
do have a.
So true, Ben. So true.
Mhm.
Apple fanboys punching the air right now. But
I mean,
so
I don't know how much I can say. I have an iPhone.
yeah,
so...
you're
Yeah.
ratting on yourself here. So she was doing the math, or some people did the math. Well, Ramlin did the math, and so like Doom, the original Doom tops out at 35 frames a second. And so Ramlin crunched the numbers. So the average play time of Doom, if you were gonna do it on this E. coli bacterial screen, would take quote unquote a while,
Oh, why?
which is something akin to about 600 years.
Oh my.
So if you start now and get like 12 generations of people on it, you too can play Doom on E. coli bacteria.
Yes.
I want you for my bacterial Doom playthrough. So get
I
g-
do know they did program. I saw a video. I have it saved to my watch later. I have not watched it yet, but there is like somebody who programmed rat brain cells.
I
to
did.
be
Yep,
able
they
to-
did that.
Yeah, which probably runs a lot faster.
Well, when you're talking one frame every 10
Every
hours,
8
I would
hours.
hope.
Yeah.
When you're making Microsoft PowerPoint look like a smoother playthrough of your game, I think you
I
might
think-
need to improve your specs a little.
Yeah.
But I mean, Doom is the industry standard. You know,
It is.
it's that's what you test. You're
Can
like,
it play
you
Doom?
make a new product. You're like, all right, we got to play Doom on it. I'm sure Nintendo's working on that right now with the next Switch. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
can we play Doom on it first? Yes. All right, now move on. What can we play? What
Will
now-
it ever be released? No.
No, but
They will try.
Doom for the Nintendo Switch. It's the benchmark. It's the benchmark test. That's what companies are going to use to start testing their specs. You get a new PC and you run a benchmark test and it just loads up Doom. What level of test would you like to run your PC? Low level? All right, Doom.
I do
That's just
remember
the
I had
PC
a
benchmark.
The
I had a
PC
very
benchmark.
I had a very old, or not like it was like a factory redone PC,
Mhm.
and it struggled running the original Doom. It would like get like super hot, and like the fans would
Yes,
be like
the
whirring super-
the definition of run Doom, play Doom is it's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a well set like bar for what does it mean to actually be
What
able
does it mean
to
to
play
really be able to
Doom?
play? You
Does
can
it
play
mean-
it, but the laptop
Yeah.
got like unbearably hot. So
By what standard do we mean of play Doom? Because yes, you can play Doom on a pregnancy test, but are you really playing Doom? Or are you just playing an amalgamation of pixels that looks like Doom?
yeah.
Isn't that what any game is, though? Just an amalgamation of pixels that look like this game?
Well,
So,
again, that goes. What does it mean to play? What
What
is your
is
definition
reality?
of play?
I
What
think
is
play
reality?
means to enjoy, but I guess.
Well, yeah. What does it mean to enjoy? If your game is running
Mhm.
at 2 frames a second and it is only in black and white, are you enjoying it? Maybe to some people.
maybe.
Maybe to Apple users.
I enjoyed
but
Power
to
World
real
on my
gamers.
husband's laptop.
Yeah, but that
One
wasn't.
frame every 8 hours.
That wasn't. Yeah, but
game.
your Power World on the low end laptop wasn't 1 frame every 10 hours in white and black. I think I can safely assume.
I think there
it's-
might be a little bit of a gap in the.
I think there might be some
Just
gaps in
maybe.
processing power between E. coli bacteria and an actual computer. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's
maybe
just
you're
me.
wrong.
Maybe
I
I'm
mean,
wrong.
E. coli bacteria are like super advanced.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're playing Doom. They're playing Doom. They're getting their testosterone boost through osmosis by playing Doom. So,
Yes.
that's really all the news for this week. So I do want to ask everybody, like, what games are we all playing at the moment? Is anyone in the midway of some playthroughs of some games, or are we all just playing the same things?
I'm playing Pal World. That's new.
Here we go. Lillian's enslaving off-brand Pokemon.
Still
Yep,
enjoying
my-
Phasmophobia. I'm also kind of restarting Bloons TD6. So
Let's go,
Yeah.
a classic.
I've been watching my husband play Knights of the Old Republic, which is a very old game.
Now
Ooh.
My brother-
that is a very
That's a
good
good
decision.
decision.
Yes.
Where
My brother gave-
I haven't played any of the Old Republic games.
Oh, you're missing
yeah.
out, buddy.
I love Star Wars. Never touched
And
them.
play it.
Play it. on when
Yep.
when sales come around on Steam, you can get both of them for like $5.
Yeah.
And
My
I
brother
easily
gave
put
me
like
access to
100
his
hours in the first one.
Steam
Yep.
library. So
I
have a bunch of games.
My most recent playthrough of the first Knights of the Republic was modded. There's like a mod that like adds an entire new like side storyline that
Really?
you can tell with Knights of the Republic. For anyone who's played, is one of those games that like it has like turn-based combat that is like kind of D&D style with dice
Yeah.
digitally. But it's not real time turn-based because you can pause it and like do stuff in your inventory. And Knights of the Republic has this mechanic that you can abuse, where you can add an extra med pack onto yourself every turn on top of
Yes.
doing your action. And so the game doesn't really like make you do that, but it like helps you in combat. But this side mod that I played, I think it's called like Solomon's Rise or like something Solomon, and it lets you go back and it lets you like play bits of the Mandalorian Wars as Revan, and you can tell that the people that made this mod are very familiar with the mechanics of the game, because you're walking into the final boss room of that side quest and you pick up 30 life support packs from a canister. And you go into the fight, and if you don't abuse the med pack pausing, you lose.
It is impossible to win.
It is impossible to win without abusing the game mechanics. It's one of those mods where the people who made it are painfully aware of the min-maxing the stats of the game. So it is one of the mods of all time, and it
One
is,
of the mods of all time.
it took me like 6 attempts to beat that, because I'm like, you have to like almost frame perfect some of the med packs sometimes. Like pause. If you pause a second too late, you're just dead. Like it's.
I mean,
annoying.
I'm just saying, having some pretty low frame rate would be really helpful for getting those med packs. So if you were getting 0.0000347 frames per second, like you have with the E. coli.
Wait, did you do the math?
I did.
It's a simple calculator input.
I know, but the fact that you calculated what the FPS of an E. coli screen is. Unfortunately, I don't think E. coli is playing Knights of the Republic anytime soon, but I would highly recommend for anyone who's a fan of Star Wars and RPGs. And it has rudimentary combat akin to that of Baldur's Gate, of the skill checks and all of that. It's not as advanced as Baldur's Gate, and its graphics are a little dated.
Yeah, the
because
graphics
it's 2003.
I know, my husband was like, "You think my laptop can run this?" I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
"I think your laptop
I
can
know.
definitely run this game."
But for 2003, it is one of the best Star Wars games ever made. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. How far is Hiram into it?
I don't know. I can ask him. Hiram, how far are you into Knights of the Old
He's
Republic?
right there.
Oh, he has his earbuds in. He can't hear me.
Oh, fair enough.
Classic.
Knights of the Republic is such a fun game. The second one is a game.
I think it gets too
One of
much
the
hate.
games of all time.
I think it's underrated.
I think
Yeah.
it's underrated, but I think the second
But it's
one.
not.
The second one. Audience, you can tune out, by the way. We're just filling space because we're under an hour right now, and we're just having fun talking. The second Knights of the Old Republic game, I think, tried to do too much. My problem with the second one is that the story feels a little lost, and it's not as strong. Because the first one is all about Revan and Malik and like this like cool
Bastila.
dynamic and like kind of what happened there. And you go into the second one, and it's just like this. Seemingly, when you start the game, the seemingly random Jedi from the Mandalorian Wars that you're suddenly playing as that got exiled, and you're like, why are they important? And you like pick up these side companions, and you're like, who are these people? Why do I care about them? And the ending is pretty underwhelming. And
there's like 3 different Sith Lords. Which,
Yeah,
granted, I'm
there's-
pretty sure the game is called the Sith Lords, but still, it's like
there's
I think
one.
it's
There's a
too
Sith
much going
Lord.
on
There's
there.
a Sith Lord called Nihilus that literally just feeds off of like
He eats planets.
each planet.
that guy is sick though. He is really cool.
Yeah, but he goes down so easily. The second one, like mechanics, like there's so many more powers and stuff that you can do, but like I feel like it has more to its detriment. I think that it already has kind of a more lackluster story than the first one, and then it tries to do too much with like the influence system with your companions, because you can like turn all of your companions into Jedi or Sith depending on like how far you get with their personal quests, which is really sick if you know how to get there.
It's hard to get them all.
The ending is really underwhelming, and technically it's an incomplete game, but if you play it on Steam, you just get the restored content mod, and that kind of fixes that a little bit. But in my opinion, it tries to do too much and is a little underwhelming for what it does do, because it gets really convoluted in some of the mechanics. You're just like, what is going on? The one benefit of the second game versus the first one is that it's implemented into Steam's mod library, so it is really, really easy to mod the second game. And it's a whole lot of fun to mod the second game. So that's what I've done in my run-throughs of it. So that's fun that he's playing through it. Ben, you should play it.
Yep.
I would recommend. What are you playing, Skyler?
Well, I have a problem of starting a lot of games and not finishing them. So I'm in the middle of a lot, but some of them I haven't touched in months. So the ones that I've touched most recently, well, I'm still playing Genshin, obviously, trying to keep up with that. But like other than that, I started playing Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, which is like really old, the one with Ike that was like on GameCube. But I'm a big Fire Emblem guy, so I'm trying to go back and play some of the older ones that I missed out on when I was growing up. And then I also started, finally, Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow.
And I've been enjoying that, so.
Kyle will be happy to hear that, as will Cort.
I actually haven't played it, so I can't say anything.
Well,
neither have I, so.
But neither have I. A ton of gameplay, so.
Lillian will always know a lot about a game, but will never own it or play it. That is,
pretty much.
There are two sides to gamers: one who play the game and know a lot. No, it's that meme. You know a lot about the game because you've played it. I know a lot about it because I've watched gameplay. We are not the same. That's Lillian.
I'm chronically on YouTube. We are not.
We are not the same. We are chronically on YouTube. That's cool though, that you're picking it up and that you're going back and playing some older titles. I never am able to go back. It's like if I missed it from my childhood, I missed it. I'm not going back to play it. It's like it's just not happening. But I mean, I've mentioned before I was in my playing Nier Automata. Because Kyle mentioned it and had used it for his media effects class of all things. I highly recommend the game. I think it is very good. It's part of a very interconnected universe that you don't really realize it's a part of until you read into it. It's one of those things that takes place like 8,000 years after the first game, but it's not technically it's a sequel, but the first game is technically a sequel, but not really. I don't know. It's a fun game. The mechanics are fun. The combat, because I'm a big fan of like, not so much like hack and slash, but like seamless kind of hack and slash, which is why I like Sword Art Online Hollow Realization. It's a really fluid kind of combo-based game where you're not having to worry about like parrying, and if you don't want to, and like the dodge mechanic is really cool because if you perfectly time the dodge, you can just endlessly dodge by just spamming the dodge button. But you like get like a little pod that can like shoot rockets or like bullets, and the game has like bullet hell elements in it, which is really cool. Like we're talking like third person RPG bullet hell on top of like ship bullet. It's really cool. And the soundtrack is to die for. The soundtrack is very good. And it is one of the games that takes multiple endings and puts it on steroids. Because you hear of games that have like, oh, what ending did you get? Did you getting 1, 2, or 3? Like, oh, try 26.
Holy cow.
Nier Automata has 26 different endings, A through Z.
Wow.
Just needed to get that whole alphabet.
It is crazy, and some of them are so oddly, and it's not like every ending is like an actual like ending of the game of like, oh, you reach the end of the game, you make one decision, it changes. No, some of the endings are just really dumb, and it's like some small action you take like 30 minutes into the game, and then it just ends the game, and it just plays the credits on super fast forward and takes you back to the menu, and then you can load your save from right before you did whatever caused the ending. So there's really only like 4 or 5 endings that are like actual endings that you get through getting to the end. The rest of them are just like meme endings. It's like one of them just blow yourself up in like the hub ship, and then the game just ends. So some of them are so oddly specific that unless you look it up, you'd never think to do that thing. But it is a really good game. Anyone that is looking for like a third person RPG, JRPG, like I would recommend Nier Automata. It is a really good, and it has an anime, so that's also cool. That like uses the game soundtrack and uses the game's voice actors, the English voice actors from the game. So it's a very good game. I'd recommend it. I also tried starting to play a Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Stopped playing that after 2 hours. Kyle may be in shambles hearing me saying that I started playing a Final Fantasy game and stopped. This goes back to the Hideo Kojima kind of game. I think Final Fantasy VII, when I was playing it, tried to be too cinematic. It felt like at times I was just playing through a cutscene, and I thought the combat was really clunky. It's one of the reasons I'll never play a Souls-like, because I don't like slow, methodical, like, oh, block, parry, oh, roll here, use your, spell or whatever here at this perfect time. Like, no, I want to just be able to walk up, find the spot, and just wail with combos and, like, dodge a little bit, and I don't want to have to be like, oh, perfectly parry, oh, parry, oh, block, parry, again. I can't do that. I tried playing Code Vein and got through it, and Code Vein is a Souls-like, and I can't do it. I'm sorry, Souls fans. I can't do methodical, like really skilled combat.
Hey, your loss. Your loss.
My loss. I'm an Overwatch player. I want fast combat. Can you blame me? I will say though, that's why I don't mind Genshin. Like I stopped playing Genshin for different reasons, but when I did play Genshin, I did enjoy the combat because it was just like throw stuff out in combos. You don't have to worry about perfectly timing dodges and blocks. I don't. Get these timing windows out of here. I don't need them. So I'm almost finished with Nier Automata, which is fun. I'm trying to just do side quests and everything now. So
maybe that should be one of our New Year's resolutions to get some new games.
My New Year's resolution is to play more games. I'm currently on the lookout to find a new game to play. My plan was to do Final Fantasy VII after I finished Nier. And then I booted it up and went, nope, this is not a game that I want to sink hours into. Because I compared it, because after I was 2 hours into Nier, I was like, this game is really fun. I want to keep playing it, and was playing it over doing anything else when I had the time. Versus I got 2 hours into Final Fantasy and went, can I stop playing now? And that was
that's not the feeling that you want to have when you're playing a game.
If after 2 hours into a game I want to stop playing, it's not a game that I want to keep playing. But if after 2 hours I go, how much time do I have to keep playing this game? Then I know it's something I want to sink a lot of time into. So I don't know if that's just me. I feel like that's probably a good standard for most people, because I feel like 2 hours is like, if by 2 hours you aren't like into the thick of the game, then I think you've got other problems.
Yeah, me with Persona 5 not being into it until like 20 hours in.
Dude, you hung into a game for 20 hours?
Hey, my friends kept riding me to play it.
Oh, okay.
And like I saw the potential, but I'll be honest, like it takes quite a while before you get into it. And then you still have to commit like a total of like 90 hours to beat the game.
One Piece fans be like,
I do, yeah. Like I don't regret playing it. Like it's a really good game. I see why people like it, but will I ever play it again? No. Like way too much time. Way too much.
That's really funny. See, I've got to find my second game, because now that I've gotten to the point where I'm doing side quests on Nier, I'm going back to be like, all right, time to boot up Overwatch. Not that there's anything wrong with that for me, but I would like to have another game that I can play on the side. So I'm still in the process of finding games. But I think now that I know that I really like Nier and that I really like some of the SAO games, I think I know the kind of game I like very specifically of like third or first person RPG, probably third, because they don't really make first person hack and slash RPGs. It's not really a thing. But like third person RPGs with hack and slash elements, they don't have to be a JRPG, but I guess they usually end up being JRPGs anyways. So I'll keep everyone updated on what I'm playing so that I'm not just playing Overwatch. Because I am more than an Overwatch player, I swear, guys. I swear.
I swear I play more than one game.
I swear I play more than one game. So anyways, I think that's kind of all, unless there's anything else anyone wants to bring up. If not, Ben can take us out. As he's pulling it up.
Well, no, I was just making sure that nobody else wanted.
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
All right. Knights of the D-Pad is a publication of the Daily Universe. We'd like to give a special thanks to Alan Neves and Miles Romney for everything they did and do to help support us and continue to do this podcast. Also, if you'd like to reach out to us with feedback, ideas for topics, or just to say hello, you can shoot us an email at knightsofthegpadpodcast@gmail.com. With that, let's sign off. My name is Ben.
My name is Lillian.
I'm Aidan.
And I'm Skyler.
And we are the Knights of the D-Pad. See you next time.
We'll see ya.